Rob and Zack. This is a podcast about cinematic oddities where we discuss any media that is too bizarre, abnormal, or off-kilter for contemporary audiences. Occasionally, these projects gel. Most times they crash hard into the realm of obscurity. Join us as we delve into the cult classic swamp. I'm Zack.
And I'm Rob. And today on Cinemodities, we are continuing on with our foreign animation series with animation that is not foreign.
Yeah, that dawned on me. I'm a little annoyed right now.
I think I told Zack why we did it, but Zack probably was just in his usual state of trying to block out everything I say. While this is not foreign animation, I have decided to put this forward for us to discuss because it is certainly a parody of foreign animation, specifically anime, specifically that Japanese style. And since our next two things that we're getting into are pretty anime related, I thought this would fit pretty well. But no, full disclosure, this is not foreign animation. This is US made. What we are talking about is the Adult Swim show. I don't even know if you can call it a show. Perfect Hair Forever. And so I think the first question we have to answer, Zack, is what is Perfect Hair Forever? Had you ever heard of this before I ever mentioned it to you?
No, never heard of this before.
Okay, so there's the history of Perfect Hair Forever, and then there's my history with Perfect Hair Forever. And they're two different things. The history of Perfect Hair Forever is pretty straightforward. The production team for Squidbillies back in 2004. You ever watch that show, Squidbillies, Zack?
I know of it, never really watched it.
Yeah, I never got into that. That's one of the more successful Adult Swim shows, or longer running, I think. But anyway, when that was supposed to come out, the production team fell behind, and instead of announcing that they were not going to air the pilot of Squidbillies in 2004, they just aired the pilot of Perfect Hair Forever out of nowhere. And people were like, what the f*** is going on? Because it starts with a Space Ghost card. And so it's very strange right off the bat. And then it had a short run of 6 episodes, I think in 2004 to 2005. And then 2007, there was a 7th episode. And then 2014, there was an 8th. That's the actual history of Perfect Hair Forever. So now, Zack, are you ready for my history with Perfect Hair Forever?
Oh, dear.
Zack is a little worried. Zack has got the spray bottle out.
Yes, the battery acid spray bottle is sitting on the table.
But I have to tell this story. Because this is not, I didn't just find this because, oh, it's Rob, he's looking for crazy, weird stuff, and he came across this nonsense. This actually came into my life in a very strange way, and it has impacted me greatly. So I guess I'll say it right off the bat. Zack, this is a masterpiece. Perfect Hair Forever is a masterpiece. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about why I think that. But I'm getting the sense that Zack does not agree with me. Zack, on a scale of masterpiece to magnum opus, how would you rank Perfect Hair Forever?
You're turning my own logic against me. You're turning my own Worf logic. When I turned this, like I said, when I first put this on, I saw the Space Ghost card, and I honestly thought I clicked on the wrong. I thought I was watching the wrong thing. And I said, "What?" And I scrubbed ahead, like halfway through, 6 minutes. I'm like, "Nope, this is what it's supposed to be." And so I went back. I'm like, "Space Ghost? What the hell is Space Ghost going?" Because I thought it was okay. When Rob sold this to me, we're supposed to be doing foreign animation. So first and foremost, I feel lied to. I feel a little betrayed. And he can qualify. Say, "Oh no, I explained it. It's a parody of this." No, he lied. Foreign animation. It's kind of like sitting there going to a fine restaurant and saying you have a fine delicacy and giving a McDonald's hamburger. It's a parody on what a good burger should be.
Zack, I lied, but I had a reason. Doesn't that make it better?
Sure. I imagine the road to hell is paved with reasoning just like that. It's like I'm watching this, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then within about 60 seconds, it all made perfect sense. A little Adult Swim watermark appeared in the corner, and I said, this is going to be Adult Swim nonsense. And boy, was it ever Adult Swim nonsense.
Nonsense. See, nonsense is what I have to disagree with. But we'll get into that later. We'll get into the analysis of why Perfect Hair Forever is a masterpiece. But I have to give my history with it. I have to at least tell Zack this story, because I don't think he's ever gotten to hear it. Are you ready? You drink, you tucked in, you do whatever you do when you prepare for a story, Zach?
I am ready. The belt is tied or cinched very firmly around my neck, and I'm just waiting to tug it.
Okay, here we go. So back in 2012, 2013, when I was in my undergrad, doing some computer repair, a roommate, one of my roommates, I lived in an on-campus apartment, lived with 4 other people. One of us, we would do like computer repair, maybe computer diagnosis was the better way to put it. Like people wouldn't want to go to the school one because like the people there were dumb and they charged a lot. And so we would at least be able to help them out and give them, some idea of what they needed to do. And it would be cheaper for them when we got some cash. But we always told them, we were like, hey, don't give us computers that have anything like illegal on them. Like we want none of that. And we always told them, like, if there's something on your computer you don't want us to find, take it off before you give it to us. And we always gave this disclaimer. One day we get a computer. Someone actually gives us a whole desktop, like an actual tower of a computer. And they have something wrong with it. My buddy and I turn it on, and we're getting to work on it. And, of course, we look at what's in there. We look at these files. And, okay, Zach, this is where it gets weird. This dude's files, to this day, I don't know if this was all a joke or this is, for some reason, he needed these things. But there was some crazy stuff on this guy's computer. Here we go. I have a few highlights of what we found on his computer. He had thousands of audio files that were each a specific tone, like a minute and a half long each, just a constant tone. And you click on a different file, it'd be like slightly higher tone or a slightly lower one. He had like a whole array of sounds, just beep, beep, a minute and a half each. It was ridiculous. I don't know who needs that. I do a lot of music and sound editing, but I don't need that. I don't need that in the goddamn slightest. Anyway, we find those. We find Word documents, like hundreds of Word documents. And as far as we could tell, every single Word document, you would open it, and it would just be wingdings. Like pages and pages of wingdings. You know that font that is just symbols and stuff?
Yep.
Some of them were wingdings. Some of them were wingdings 2. Some of them were, dare I say, wingdings 3. I didn't know that existed until this happened. And so when we see this, we're like, okay, what the hell is this? You can translate it. You can highlight everything and you can switch it back to a normal font. It was all gibberish in the normal font. There was not a single vowel. It was like tons of letters, like no spaces or anything. It was crazy. And so we're looking through this guy's computer finding stuff like this. And we don't even know what's wrong with it yet. And jump scare games, like the stupid simple ones where you have to follow like a basic maze and then like the girl from the Exorcist pops out at you. Like tons of them, like maybe like 50 different basic jump scare games. Okay, Zach, you're going to like this one. This dude had some straight up weird location pornography. So I say weird location. So the two that I will always remember, he had like a 30-minute video of a guy and a girl having sex while rock climbing, filmed completely from the ground. Like this was a dude with a camera pointing at the side of a mountain, and people were like harnessing and having sex. Another one.
I want to spritz you with the battery acid, but I'm too intrigued.
I know, right?
Pull the lever.
The other one I remember, this of the strange location pornography. People underwater, completely clothed in scuba diving gear, with just like some apparatus set up so they could like have sex with each other. It wasn't sexual at all. You couldn't see any skin. It was so strange. And the last thing on the list, what else did we find on this computer? The first 6 episodes of Perfect Hair Forever. That is how I came into contact with Perfect Hair Forever. And of course, this being one of the only things we found on the computer that we could actually absorb, we could actually do something with. The audio files were meaningless. The Wingdings Word documents were meaningless. No one wanted to play jump scare games. You could watch that porn, but it's just like out of weird curiosity, 6 episodes of something called Perfect Hair Forever, and when we did the exact same thing you did, Zach, clicked on it and found Space Ghost, we were like, what? So that's what we did. We decided to like pause everything because we had this guy's computer for the night or whatever. We take these files off of it. My roommates and I, we just get baked. We smoke a bunch of weed and we just put this on and we watch it. And we watch the first 6 episodes. When it's over, needless to say, there were mixed reactions. I was basically like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe I've never heard about this before. And basically the 3 other people that I watched it with were like, that was ridiculous. I can't believe that's all there is. Because if Zack, I don't know how many times Zack watched this, but he remembers the 6th episode is when it just becomes a very strange variety show. And there's like musical numbers, and has nothing to do with the story. That's where it ended the first time I saw it. And I loved it. I thought it was perfect. But one of my buddies has to go online and do some Googling and finds that there's a 7th episode, and we get the 7th episode, and it's not as good. And I don't think it ends it the right way. And then, as Zack knows, for this recording, when I was doing my research again, I found that there was another episode, the 2014 one. And that one was actually pretty good. I think it got back to the story. So this is why we're sitting here today, Zack. I would go so far to say it isn't just why we're talking about Perfect Hair Forever. This whole event with the computer and the wingdings and the pornography, that got me to this podcast. So it was a milestone in the history of Cinemodities. That is my history with Perfect Hair Forever. I can tell you have questions, Zack. Ask your questions.
You know what? The story and how you got to Perfect Hair Forever, I think, is infinitely more interesting than the actual Perfect Hair Forever.
Oh, no!
Okay,
so I should have ended with the Perfect Hair Forever?
Yes, that's how it ends. It ends with the all's well that ends well. I have to ask, what was wrong with this guy's computer?
So the actual problem? Like, is that what you're asking? Like, what did he...
I want to know the history of this guy in the computer. He's like this mystery. He's the Boba Fett of this Star Wars. It's like, I have no idea what's going on with him. He's here briefly, but I'm fascinated by him.
So I cannot say much about the guy. I think I only met the guy once. It was someone that my buddy that I did the computer repair / diagnosis with that he knew and got the computer from. We would have to contact him for more information about the guy. But what was wrong with his computer was something like with the registry. Like he had like tried to edit the Windows registry, but he didn't know what he was doing, and it f***ed a lot of things up, and he couldn't like load programs properly, and like nothing would happen on startup and stuff like that. And he was just confused. I remember that was the actual problem with the computer. It had nothing to do with the wingdings. There were other files. They were fine. They were just strange.
Did you ask him what was up with all the weird stuff on his computer?
No, so the only time I met him was actually before the computer. I only worked on the computer. My buddy was the go-between with this guy for the computer. But my buddy was equally as confused to see all these files. I did get the sense, though, that, this was not unexpected. Maybe not the norm with this guy, but, the way that the people who knew him better talked about him, it was like, he's a little out there, And now we know, I think. Now I think we know. I wish I still had the Wingdings files and stuff like that. Well, like I wish I could. Like that's code breaker stuff.
All right, we're gonna sit there. We'll get to this with the Eraserhead episode, but a quick peek into the crystal ball. There was the infamous character that wore the Eraserhead T-shirt to Rob and I's high school, which altered our destinies forever. I think we can put the guy with the Wingdings on his computer in the weird porno. I think he's up there. I think we're creating a league of extraordinary gentlemen. And so far it's a party of 2.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I like it, Zack. I like that we have at least 2 so far. Okay.
2 so far.
Nice. But yes, that's why we're sitting here, Zack. That's why we've gotten to where we are today. Perfect Hair Forever and this crazy computer.
In preparation for tonight's recording of Perfect Hair Forever, I feel like I don't have the proper vocabulary to describe this. Are we calling this a TV show? Are we calling it just media? Are we giving this a name? Much like the Frank Ocean Endless visual album, is there a name for this content?
So I think it's officially documented as a TV show, but I don't want to classify it as that because, like I said, there were 6 episodes, and then 2 years went by, we got another, and then 6 years went by, and we got another. So, like
a collection of shorts.
I don't know. They're cohesive. I think they're meant to be watched.
Yeah. So, define cohesive, sir. Define cohesive.
I mean, it all makes sense, right? Like you understand by the end of one episode, Brenda starts the Cat Bun Wars, and the beginning of the next episode, they gotta end the Cat Bun Wars. Like what? It's cohesive. It's the Cat Bun Wars. It's cohesive.
Yes. So, cat Bun Wars just rolls off the tongue.
How about series? How about we just call this the series Perfect Hair Forever? Because honestly, I kind of thought of it when I first watched it, that initial time, only the 6 episodes that were on that computer, I thought it was like a self-contained thing. I thought the ending of the 6th one was the ending of like the whole thing. And it kind of was, because we didn't get another episode for 2 years. So I kind of want to say series. I kind of think it's still over. But who knows? Maybe in like 2025, we'll get another episode.
In 15 to 20 years, my fearsome cardboard box army robots will help me get out of this overpriced crappy townhouse where nothing works!
All right. So in preparation for this...
Will we go back? Will you commit to that right now, Zach? If an episode comes out in 2025, we got to go and like do an episode about it?
Absolutely not.
Well, no, come on. Yes, I agree right now.
Absolutely
come on,
not.
Commit.
This was 80 minutes. This was 100 minutes of my life that made me question my existence, and at the very least my sanity. So I looked up some. So I figured I didn't have the proper vocabulary to discuss this. So I cracked open the good old thesaurus, giving the good old friends at thesaurus.com some ad revenue. So these are some words I feel describe Perfect Hair Forever.
Oh God.
I already said this first one: nonsense, absurdity.
I'll give you
baloney.
That. I'll kind of give you that.
Bunk.
No, it's not bunk.
Gibberish. Madness.
Okay, that's accurate.
Balderdash.
Ballyhoo.
Claptrap.
Oh, I don't
Hogwash.
No, that's not
hooey. Poppycock.
No, that's a food.
And last but not least, mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo. It might be mumbo jumbo. Mumbo jumbo is pretty good. So the only one I would say I don't have a firm understanding in what I believe the word means is claptrap. What the f does claptrap mean? Did you get a definition? Yeah, when you thesaurused it, what did it give you?
Empty talk. I would imagine vacuous is probably a good synonym for it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I know that now, but that is not how I would describe Perfect Hair Forever. This is great. This is great, Zach. You are taking the stance that almost everybody I've ever shared this with has taken. And I have, of course, something else to say. I have a dissent.
Of course you do.
I have a disagreement.
Did you?
Am I surprising you there, Zach?
Not the slightest.
Okay. So here's the thing. Here we go. Zach is gonna roll his eyes as soon as this argument begins. So this is for the audience out there, just get ready. So here's the thing. I think there are certain things in this world, certain created objects. Doesn't have to be a TV show. Just some type of created object, art, media, book, anything like that. Something someone creates and puts forward. There's two types of people in the world when they observe that thing, and they kind of take it in, and they try and understand what it is. And so, the first type of person will actually kind of say, okay, what is it? What are they going for? What's the idea? The other type of person will just say, it doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I don't want to think about it anymore. So I see this in a lot of stuff, some examples. Here we go. This is where Zach's going to start rolling his eyes. The best example, Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce. So many people are just like, that book's nonsense. You can't read it. Some people are like, no, you have to study it constantly because it's so dense and it's such an interesting creative object. We need to understand how it came about and what it represents. Some other examples, I would say, are definitely Perfect Hair Forever. I think that the references and the parodying that this is doing of not just anime, but kind of TV shows and serials in general is so deep that we're never going to fully understand it. What do you think about that, Zach? What do you think about that comparison?
All right. I'm not dismissive of weird ass crap.
No, so that should be said. Zach is not the dismissive person. Zach's the good person. Zach and I just disagree on what's nonsense and what's not nonsense.
Well, it depends. Okay, this is one. Okay, this is how I'm going to describe. Like, Rob likes weird. Okay, how do I describe this properly? There's this expression I like to use that if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss stares back into you. If you I guess Rob's smiling right now. I feel that if you look hard enough at something, you will find what you're looking for in it. I think that's what Rob's doing with Perfect Hair Forever. I can't speak for Finnegan's Wake. I know Rob's enjoyed that forever. I have no attempt of doing that. Again, that doesn't interest me in the slightest. But with something like Perfect Hair Forever, or comparing it to obviously the benchmark of all Cinemodities, Eraserhead, which is the ultimate thing any Cinemodity can ever hope to live up to.
Yes. Like,
you watch Eraserhead, and like Rob said, you show somebody a weird piece of media, they watch it and they go, "What was that? It's just nonsense." Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, there's actual substance to this, but it's real. You have to really dig into it. And obviously, there's so many interpretations for something like Eraserhead. And then this is my other example I like to use when it comes to something that really doesn't have a superficial meaning to it or a clear-cut meaning to it.
Okay.
My favorite example is Spring Breakers.
This is my fucking dream, y'all. All this shit. Look at my shit. I got shorts, every fucking color. I got designer t-shirts. I got gold bullets, motherfucking vampires. I got Scarface on repeat.
Last movie.
Scarface on repeat. Constant, y'all. I got Escape, Calvin Klein Escape. Mix that shit up with Calvin Klein B. Smell nice. I smell nice. Ain't a fucking bed, that's a fucking art piece. My fucking spaceship, USS Enterprise on this shit. I go to different planets on this motherfucker. Me and my fucking Franklin's here, we take off. Fucking take off. Look at my shit. Look at my shit. I got my blue Kool-Aid.
Ooh, you got your Kool-Aid.
I got my fucking nunchuck. I got shurikens. I got different flavors. I got them size. Look at that shit. I got size. I got blades. Look at my shit. This ain't nothing. I got rooms of this shit. I got my dark tannin oil. Lay out by the pool. Put on my dark tannin oil. Machine guns. Look at this motherfucker here. Look at this motherfucker. Huh?
When that movie came out, I saw it in theaters, and a few people I knew saw it at the time because they all went into it saying, "Yo, I'm going to see Selena Gomez half naked, yo." And they walked out of it and they're like, "That was just stupid." And I'm like, "No." And I remember defending it. I had the cinema professors at Albany. I went to school. They're like, "We hate Harmony Korine." And I'm like, "Yes, he's stupid, but this movie might have something to it." And I was explaining, and over the years, I've explained it to people, and nobody really appreciates it. A, because nobody cares about it. It's kind of it's a flash in the pan movie. But like over time, I've come to the realization of, is this movie Spring Breakers brilliant, or am I just reading into it? It's kind of like when you watch those like Bigfoot documentaries on like Animal Channel, and it's like, and they go out in the woods, and like everything that makes noise is Bigfoot. Every shadow at night is Bigfoot. So like if you go into the woods looking for Bigfoot, chances are everything you come across that you can't explain is Bigfoot. And I think that's what Rob's doing with this, is that he's looking at something that at its core is not meant to have a purpose. And I know that, and the reason why I say this is that once I looked this up and I saw the creators of this, it's like I said, it's Adult Swim nonsense. 95% of what Adult Swim makes is just stuff that's not meant to make. It's not designed to make sense. It's there to disenfranchise 99% of the people who watch it, and the 1% that aren't disenfranchised are ones who love it. In other words, Rob. Like, I love Too Many Cooks.
Too many cooks.
Like, the guys behind this are, this was all done like a few years after Cartoon Planet and Space Ghost. Mm-hmm. I don't like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but I love Cartoon Planet.
Yeah. I love you, baby. I love the way that you are.
when you call my name. Hey, Bragging Wagon. Oh, we could get married. Just the two of us, and you could get a job driving a school bus. I love you, baby. Will you marry me? You don't have to decide right away. Think it over. Who's it gonna hurt? Where are you going?
And you can definitely see, like, Cartoon Planet doesn't make sense, but I know what they're trying to get at. This is like the equivalent of just putting, let's put everything nonsensical we can to a blender and seeing what comes out. And it's just lunacy for the sake of lunacy and seeing who is good. It's like a mechanical bull almost. There's nothing. If you can stay on the bull so long, there's no point. It's like you're on a mechanical bull. If you can stay on it for 2 seconds or 2 hours, there's nothing to be gained at the end of the day for it. It's just an artificial benchmark to say, aha, rather than anything deep. And I think Rob's going to disagree with me on that, because I think this is the equivalent.
Well, of
like,
course.
this is like an Easter bunny that's hollow, like a chocolate Easter bunny. It's like it's superficially sweet, but at the end of the day, there's nothing inside of it, and chances are it'll give you diabetes when you're done with it.
Yeah, of course, I'm going to disagree with you. See, but instead of falling into the cycle of just saying that I think it's amazing and you think it's a load of nonsense, I think that we have the similar idea. Would you say that this is something where this is kind of differing sets? Like, I said there are two types of people. There are people who look into it or dismiss it, basically. And I think you have the same kind of distinction, but they're not the same as mine. Like, they're not the same groups. Like, my group of people who dismiss stuff are not the same as people who dismiss stuff in yours. Because you're dismissing Perfect Hair Forever, but I honestly think that you are wrong, that it is filled with meaning and they're going for something specific. But would you say that this stance, both of our stances, are subjective?
Well, okay, I'll rephrase. Okay, let me respond a different way. The people who you're doing a very strict dichotomy. What you're saying is that with people that you show this to, they are judging it incorrectly, thus coming to an incorrect conclusion.
Yeah. I don't know about judging it incorrectly. I think I would put it as they are not like letting themselves perceive it in a less strict way. That's how I think a lot of these people who are dismissive, their just kind of brain is set in one specific way that they want to think about a story, and they don't like that when it's deviated or when there's any deviation from it. Yeah. So
it's not Avengers Infinity War. So if it doesn't go down smooth, they're going to outright reject it.
Yes.
Well, this is my response to that, is that their judgment, like Rob knows, I will watch anything. I will give anything and everything a fair shot. I'll be open-minded about anything. Where I disagree with him is that, yes, I agree with him that people are, again, he disagreed with my my word of judging this, but for lack of a better one,
sure,
yes, I agree with him. People are not hearing this out or judging it in the sense that they're not at least hearing it out. But yet, I agree with people's conclusion on this. People will watch this and not understand or not be open to it. They'll say, this is garbage. Mm-hmm. I'm open-minded to it and then say, this is fluff, this is garbage. And it's like, or it's intentional just nonsense. It's not garbage. It's everything's deliberate. Like, garbage is incompetence and just like a Book of Henry. Men, Women, and Children is garbage. It's just something that like nobody knew what they were doing. Someone made a mess. This is a mess, but it's intentional. It's like,
I think you put it well with absurd or absurdity earlier, because I agree with that one. Or madness. This is certainly madness.
It's
like,
orchestrated madness.
Easy to watch. Yes,
it's orchestrated madness to the point of it's like Too Many Cooks. It's deliberately, which is my I guess that's the epitome of Adult Swim for me, is Too Many Cooks. It's just,
I love that as well, but I think that's also very full of meaning, and I love it.
Too Many Cooks is a masterpiece because it's 12 minutes. Yet the point it's trying to get across is there. Like, it's mocking intros of like 80s and 90s sitcoms. You can boil Too Many Cooks down to that one sentence. Is it over the top in some circumstances? Yes. but you cannot boil Perfect Hair Forever to one sentence.
No, you definitely can't. You definitely can't. And I think it's a credit to the fact that it is so dense and so meaningful that we're never going to be able to fully understand it.
Again, this is going back. I think I've described. I forget what movie I described this way. It might have been. I don't know. I think I've called it the chocolate pretzels conundrum. Where again, I've described for where it's like, okay, I really like chocolate. What goes well with chocolate? Pretzels, chocolate covered pretzels. Well, what goes good with pretzels? Beer. You can have like a nice a bag of pretzels and a beer as you're sitting down, relaxing, eating dinner.
What if we said cheese instead of beer?
No, we're getting there. We're getting there.
No, take the beer out.
What goes good with beer? You can have a hamburger with a beer. That's good. Well, what goes good with a hamburger? You could sit there have like a pickle wedge. Like you have that. Like you have a pickle wedge with your hamburger.
I'll eat a pickle wedge anytime.
Okay, there you go. And then it's like, then you get like, what goes good with a pickle wedge? It just keeps going. Except in certain circumstances, just because things complement each other, they can't all be shoved into the same blender or put on the same plate. And I think Perfect Hair Forever is another example of this. Because as I was watching it, like there's certain moments that are funny. Like you have Uncle
certain moments. I'm laughing the entire goddamn time.
I bet you are. Like, I would imagine this is how you felt watching Men, Women, and Children as I was watching this. I finally gained. I put my brain into Rob's. But like Uncle Grandfather, it's like yes, with him and Brenda, and he's constantly like I said, yes, that's comical. It's a reoccurring joke. Anybody can appreciate it because it's the stereotype trademark of anime to have like the super attractive female character in skimpy clothing. He's doing everything with his power to do these, again, well, not I don't want to say molest her, but obviously, I guess molest her for a lack. It's not, she doesn't seem to be bothered by it, but it's like all these things.
Pervy older character is certainly like a cliche in anime and manga at this point as well.
I'm not a big anime manga person, so I can't comment on that entirely. It's worth
Look forward to Cowboy Bebop, everybody.
Yes. Cowboy Bebop next weekend. But no, real quick anime manga story. When I was in college, this happened at least a handful of times. I'll never be able to explain it. People would turn around to me. Like I'd be talking to people, whether it be like in class or like people who like I was roommates with when I first got to know them. They'd be like, I'm guessing you're a real anime manga type guy. I look around at like the first time it happened, I'm like, no, I'm like I liked Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger, but like not real. I like the TV show and the trading cards. Like really, you're not into insert anime here? And I'm like, nope. And then like it happened again. I'm like, that's weird. Why is this happening again? It was like a year later. Like it wasn't the same person. And like it happened like I think like 6 months later. And I'm like, what on earth am I dressing like or look like that people would just say that to me? And it's not like people would sit there. It's not like I go up to them like, watch Star Wars. Like I'd shove it down their throat. Or, like I'm wearing like a weird T-shirt. It's like, no, people would just like come up to me and like say that. Or, like, or not just come up randomly, but like if I'd be talking to someone like out of the blue. And I never figure that out because like I never liked that sort of thing. I'd always tell them that, like, oh, well, you're missing out. I'm like, sure, whatever. But that's just a weird aside, though. But no, going back to Perfect Hair Forever.
Yeah, I would never think that about. I mean, I know you. I don't think I would. There's no reason you don't fit the mold of like all the people I knew from playing Yu-Gi-Oh at like comic book shops that were into anime and manga. Like I don't think of you in that group. I
don't know. I to this day I still can't figure it out. Anyway, Perfect Hair Forever. In that, as I'm watching it, like there are jokes that, like, oh, you can appreciate though. And then, like one thing I think, like Rob, because again, Rob and I went to high school together, so we worked on like projects. I don't know if we ever worked like on a school project together, but like
only one of us graduated, but we're not going to say which one.
Only one, yes. Only one of us got that Spangly Advanced Regents diploma. So. But anyway, so like I remember working on in high school, like I'd have like group projects, and I loved putting nonsensical, non sequiturs, just random things thrown in there because it was funny to me. Mm-hmm. And I figured this is funny to me. I don't care if it disenfranchises an audience. I find it funny. I'm going to go to make a Titanic reference. I'm going to go down with the ship. Like I'm going to crash into that iceberg. I'm not going to put the propellers into reverse. because timely reference, by the time you're hearing this, that episode's probably 2 months old. I'm not going to chip my propeller blades, but I'm going to crash into the iceberg. And I figured, okay, and as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, this is what this looks like when you have thousands of dollars the budget and you're not doing it to a room full of like 30 teenagers. This is what this reminds me of. Like I said, I give the people who made this credit. Like they're working on whatever makes them laugh. Like, cheers to them. But it does not hold up under any scrutiny or overtime, with the exception of Rob.
Yeah, I like that has become Zach's go-to qualifier. Like, you're gonna hear someone talking out in public one day, and it's like, except for Rob, that means Zach is talking. That's become his new caveat. No, I guess we should say, now that it's established our stances on this, the people who made this are primarily the team behind Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So it's not everybody from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but it is a good bit of the people. And so Aqua Teen Hunger Force is something we're going to have to get to. Zach knows for sure, Hand Banana, we need to talk about that at some point. I think it's one of the funniest things ever. It's probably what I think is the funniest TV show ever. I've watched it tons of times. This, though, is a different beast entirely, I think. Let's get that straight. But this is certainly from the same creative forces. And I don't know. Well, Zach, would you say Aqua Teen Hunger Force is nonsense, is meaningless, is hogwash, is claptrap?
I've never liked Aqua Teen. And as I was watching it, you could taste the flavors of Aqua Teen here. And I'm like, this makes, you can, like, there's a lot, again, I like Cartoon Planet, yet I feel that, like, of the people, again, all I know is Mike Lazo. When I see his name, I pretty much know who I'm dealing with.
Okay.
But like I think Cartoon Planet is the most refined version of their, or what's the word, the most, oh my God, mass appeal of their humor.
Okay. I like refined.
I don't know if refine's the right word, though, because I think Cartoon Planet is inherently not refined. I think everything they do is not refined.
Okay.
No, one thing I did not know in doing research for this is I always thought that Cartoon Planet like started like in the early 90s, like 93, 94. It's like, I remember Sal telling me that Cartoon Planet was like bumpers on TBS. And I remember him telling me that. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm like, why would it be on TBS?
Yeah, really.
And then, like, obviously, over time, if I've learned more and more about Cartoon Planet, I'm like, oh, because that was like Turner, and that was Ted Turner doing all of his insane things with television in the 90s. And then it's like, oh, then they started Cartoon Network, and everything got ported over. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I never knew that Cartoon Planet came after Space Ghost Coast to Coast got started. Mm-hmm. Space Ghost Coast to Coast started. Then, like, a year later, they did Cartoon Planet for 2 years. And then while they were doing Space Ghost Coast to Coast, then abandoned Cartoon Planet. There was the Brack Show. There was they continued with Coast to Coast. But I think Cartoon Planet is the most, again, when they're trying to appeal to everybody.
Okay.
Or maybe even Space Ghost Coast to Coast. But even Space Ghost Coast to Coast has those early flavors of Aqua Teen in it. Where you're like, you can watch that and be like, okay, this is where Aqua Teen came. Like, you can tell, like, oh, they really liked this type of humor, yet they couldn't do it properly here, or they felt they couldn't do it the way they wanted to, so they're going to expand upon it later on down the road.
Did you know that Space Ghost was actually the first appearance of the Aqua Teens, and they weren't called the Aqua Teens, they were called Baffler Meal?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were the first, and they looked pretty different, like the artwork is different, but before there was even an Aqua Teen Hunger Force show, they were on Space Ghost as, like, guests or something.
The original, like, cartoon from the 60s or Coast to Coast?
Coast to Coast.
Oh, okay.
And they were Baffler Meal was what they were called. I love that name.
Like, that makes sense, though, and that's why.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like a lot, and then not to go back, because Cartoon Planet's gonna be its own thing down the line.
Yeah, I should just say right now, I'm sorry I didn't pick Cartoon Planet to talk about today. Oh no,
Zach. Cartoon Planet is on the roster. Like, if I knew we were allowed to bend the rules and just throw in regular animation into the foreign animation, I would have done that, because if we're just throwing rules out the window. But no, like I said, Cartoon Planet, like, because again, I watched Cartoon Planet, and a little bit, like, I love it. I love Brack. Brack might be one of my favorite, like characters of all media, like of all time. Yep, because it's just yelling.
Swing your partner round and round and go to town. Now it's time to say goodbye to Dora again.
with helping of our hospitality. Lee. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical yelling, but it's at least reserved nonsensical yelling.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and I can see there's things like that Brack can do, that like Brack's "I Love You, Baby," where it's him singing about like proposing to a woman. Like,
yep.
It's nonsensical, but like anybody can appreciate it because it's so baseline, or it's so, I don't want to say lowest common denominator has a really bad stigma attached to it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's accessible.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's accessible where some of this other stuff is very much not accessible.
Well, that's what it comes down to, because there's a great Cartoon Planet joke where Space Ghost, for those of you who've never seen Space Ghost or Cartoon Planet, Space Ghost used to zap Zorak anytime he did something wrong, and that was like a reoccurring gag. And at one point, Brack starts doing something, and Zorak goes, "Why don't you zap Brack?" And Brack turns around and goes, and think about it, this was made like in 95, and goes, and this is the record, Cartoon Planet was taken from like recycled cartoon footage from like the 60s Space Ghost cartoon. Anyway, going back to Brack, he says, "He can't zap me because I'm not animated to explode," which is arguably the most meta thing you can say in regards to Cartoon Planet.
That's good.
Because
That's good.
No kid watching that is going to get the fact that this is being like stock animation being recycled with just redubbed with like modern voices. No one's going to get that.
Oh, that's
Brack, if you don't stop doing that annoying whatever it is you're doing, I'm going to blast Zorak.
I don't believe you.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Believe him.
I triple dog dare you to do that again.
No, you don't. No.
So I guess blowing up Zorak makes you feel like Mr. Big Stuff. Is that your answer to everything? Nice weather we're having. Space Ghost, can I make one little remark without you blowing Zorak up?
Baby.
I guess not.
Hey, why don't you zap Brack? He started the whole thing.
Oh, he'd love to blast me, wouldn't you, Space Ghost? Wouldn't you, Mr. Big Man? But he can't. You know why? 'Cause I'm not animated to explode. That's right?
Right.
Even if I was, I'm so well loved by all that if Space Ghost blasted one hair on my pretty little head, he would get in big trouble. Am I right?
Right.
And you know what else?
What?
Chicken butt. Ah!
And I think, and that's Cartoon Planet humor at its most meta and most nonsensical, because 99% of the people who were watching that in 95 had no idea what that was even referencing or why that's even again, Rob and I find that hysterical because it's such a extreme meta thing.
Yes, I love that stuff.
I think, but the problem with like Aqua Teen or Perfect Hair Forever and even Space Ghost Coast to Coast is that you're taking this very specific sense of humor and you're saying, let's, instead of doing this for one isolated joke, let's stretch this into an entire series. And I think that you can't hold us again. Rob's going to disagree with me, except for Rob. I would imagine most people will understand that you cannot stretch that level of just specific targeted sense of humor for an entire series. Never mind multiple, because you have this, you have Space Ghost, you have Aqua Teen, you have Lord knows what else they were doing with Toonami at the time.
Yep.
I would imagine Mike Lazo had his fingers in a million different projects at that time.
Yeah, they're very prolific. And that's one thing I really like about them.
And even Powerpuff Girls, which they had a hand in creating. You can even sense some of that now if you watch the original Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
How weird it was.
Oh, yeah.
And now you watch the current version of Powerpuff Girls, and they've completely, what's the word?
Revamped?
No, not revamped. What would be a good analogy? Kind of like how chemotherapy kills cancer cells. What is the Powerpuff? What is the modern Powerpuff Girl equivalent of removing all the? What would you call it? Like they've wiped everything that made that so unique out of that revamp.
Neutralized it?
Neutered?
Neutered? They neutered it? That might be good?
Would be like
okay.
I think that's why like things not to get really really broad.
Sterilized it. What about sterilized?
Yeah, sterilized would be a right word. Yeah, neutered, sterilized.
Okay, yeah.
I think you sterilized a lot of these things' identity. Like as much as I don't like Perfect Hair Forever, I think it has a very unique identity.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'll agree with you on that one, Zach.
And I think that's the issue with a lot of the like that's why you don't get things like that. Like every once in a while, there will be a Too Many Cooks, which just hits the right chord at the right moment, and it's 12 minutes long. It's bite sized. Whereas something like this, I guess, because it is animation, and it is like cause you can be like the thing about Too Many Cooks is that it's live action nonsensical, which is really difficult to pull off convincingly.
Yeah.
Whereas with nonsensical animation, that's what animation is there for, not to be grounded. So it's kind of like, again, it's kind of like the best way to describe my opinion. I'll shut up now and let Rob talk. How I see like Too Many Cooks is shooting for the stars when it comes to nonsensical. It's like there's no reason why this should work, yet somehow it succeeds in its purpose. Whereas Perfect Hair Forever is shooting fish in a barrel. It's like it knows what it's doing. It has all of its ducks lined up, and it's not missing. It's hitting everything it wants to hit, though, but it's almost too easy in a way. Except for Rob.
Okay, I get what Zach is saying. I have to accept what Zach is saying. But can I pitch is it our first piece of merchandise? Can we sell mugs?
Spotlight.
Yeah, merchandise spotlight. Can we sell mugs that say "except for Rob" on them, like an ellipsis, like a ... and then "except for Rob"? Can we start selling those? I think that'd be good.
I have it pictured already. It says ... except for Rob. It has a Cinemodities logo in the corner of the mug.
Yes. We need to pick a good font for the except for Rob. Okay, we'll get on it. That'll be available soon in your local podcast stores. Do they have those, Zach? We can go and
we can create our own store. The Cinemodities cafepress.com.
No, I want like a physical store. Like, you know how they used to have like as seen on TV stores? Like, don't they have like as seen on podcast stores?
Well,
they don't do that?
Hope. We can only hope.
Okay, we can only hope. Zach and I are so out of touch with the mall kiosk world. We don't know if they do this. But if they do, you'll find that mug.
Well, I figure we'll do it. Kind of like how there's like the Apple store inside like a Best Buy. There's the podcast store inside like the Sears.
Why are we inside a Sears? I want to be inside any other store.
Because no other store will take this except for Sears.
You don't think Kmart would take us?
Same thing. 6 to 1.5 dozen together.
Okay, well, at least we're being ambitious with our merchandising aspirations. So I like that. I'd like to hear that. But yes, Zach and I, don't you love it? I think the audience loves at this point. We like to disagree. They want to hear us disagree on absolutely everything. And this is no different. Zach, can I ask you something? Can I ask you a real question?
It's getting real.
It's short. It's a short one this time, and I think we can get out of the way pretty quick. But are you ready to talk about voice acting? Are you ready?
Dear.
Are you ready? It's pretty short because these people are so confined to Adult Swim. I'm taking that as a yes. I heard "oh dear." I have not felt any battery acid. It might be because my skin is calloused and it's built up a natural defense to it. But here we go. Nick, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Inkatanuwat. Nick Inkatanuwat. This is the voice of the inappropriate comedy tree, otherwise known as Norman Douglas. The first time we see this character, he has sex with dogs.
Come on, man.
I'm available!
It's an inappropriate comedy tree! Sex with dogs! What's up with that? Yes! Clap your hands for inappropriate comedy tree.
That is the first line this character has. It's great. He is Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Aqua Teen Hunger Force alum, some notable ones. He's the tour guide in T-Shirt of the Living Dead. That's a great spot. He's the store clerk in Remooned. And he's a few of the Storage Zeebles. I know Zach really likes the Storage Zeebles episode. Right? I'm right. Right?
Yep.
What's that? Is that a waterfall?
Yes, but it's not water.
Don't tell him.
Yeah, no shit, dummy. It's black.
There's nothing in there, so just stop looking at
That's
it.
oil. You got oil here.
Yes, it's crude oil.
We use the oil to power our dreams. Shut up.
Think I'm bringing a tanker tomorrow to siphon this whole lake dry.
Okay, I'm glad you're still there. I thought he was going to go make a sandwich real quick. Now we're getting into the good ones. Matt Maialaro. Of course, the voice of Uncle Grandfather and Rod the Anime God, just a giant flame in Perfect Hair Forever. He's a big-time actor voice actor on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He's one of the Moonanites. He's Markula. Did you know that the Aqua Teens have a landlord? A vampire as a landlord? His name's Markula.
I remember, was like the little like pixelated guy?
Yes. He's the small pixelated one.
I know. The one thing I do, like, not to get off topic, the one thing I do like about Aqua Teen, I think it has very little to do with Aqua Teen. I like Space Kataz.
What was that?
He was so awesome.
Did you get him?
Totally. They are doomed to drown in the balloon water.
Yeah.
I like Space Kataz. I love that.
That is a good one.
We don't eat our own bots.
That's the one where they're ordering like a shitload of pizzas for each other, right? Yes. Okay.
I like Space Kataz. I like that.
That is a great one. Yes, Matt Maialaro is He's the small one. We're gonna get to Enigmatic, the bigger pixelated guy, as well. But Matt Maialaro is also BillyWitchDoctor.com from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Well, could BillyWitchDoctor.com maybe raise something else from the dead, bigger than a chicken?
Mega ultra chicken? No, shh, he is legend.
Well, no, I mean, I was thinking more like a human. Milkshake. Or something like that.
Oh, BillyWitchDoctor.com feel more comfortable with chicken.
Just chickens, huh? Okay, and you're local.
One convenient locations in Africa.
Okay, well, we'll be in touch.
He's the cybernetic ghost of Christmas past from the future. One of my favorite characters.
Hey man, you can come out now. He's gone.
I cannot live with that guy. He is so annoying, he is so frightening, and he doesn't wear a shirt.
You make our house bleed right now.
And he is also probably my favorite character in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. The deranged homeless man.
I'm tilting my head. I still don't see the damn thing.
All right, you see the homeless guy up there in the grid work? Not him. It's above him.
I don't see anything but wood. I mean, it's just wood grain.
Right in the butt of the gun. Look at the butt of the gun.
I'm looking at the butt of the gun. I don't see nothing but the gun.
What the hell's the matter? Hey, yo, Chach! Show my dumb friend over here where Gee Whiz is, will you?
Gee Whiz. Yo, Gee Whiz.
Yes, thank you. Okay, show him on the billboard.
Me, Gee Whiz.
Great. Another whack job. Hey, Gee Whiz, can you fly? Okay, now that he's gone.
Okay, Matt Maialaro. He's a great voice actor. I think he's held back a little bit in this one because he's doing Uncle Grandfather and Rod, the anime god, and they're both kind of restrained in their voices. But, you know, he's a really great voice actor. Okay, now we're getting to the good one. Probably the greatest performance of Perfect Hair Forever. Dave Willis. This is the voice of Quaffio. How good is this voice acting performance, Zach? Quaffio. The one who does the and the one who does he can never remember Space Cat's name or Astronomic Cat's name, and he keeps fucking it up in like every episode. This is the best. This is one of the best voice acting performances ever. This is so great. Can we agree on that, Zach?
Sure.
Sure. I get it.
Sure.
Okay. Well, yes. I mean, how can you not like the first episode? He's screaming at his robot. The robot is model robot. But you never know. He's like, model robot, transform into a phone. And it's like, initiating the transform process, baby. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, Dave Willis, Quaffio. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, of course. He's Meatwad. He's Carl, and he's Ignignot. He's main characters. He's Barry Dillon from Archer.
So I'm thinking that we probably should split up.
No, please. Archer, your boots are slipping, man.
Probably because there's 200 pounds of asshole hanging off
183, fat boy!
Whatever. Tell that to my silk socks.
Why are you wearing silk socks?
Is that a joke?
I don't know if you watch Archer or have watched Archer a lot, Zach.
No, I'm not an Archer person.
I think it has went downhill big time. I think the first few seasons were the best, and it kind of lost its luster. But Barry Dillon is a recurring villain, and he's I never would have thought it was Dave Willis. Like, this is crazy. We'll have to do a comparison of his voice acting. But the thing that I also found is that Dave Willis did various voices for Chalk Zone. Do you remember Chalk Zone, Zach?
Oh, yeah, with Ruby Tabooby or whatever
that, like,
was.
Nickelodeon animated kind of fake faux sketch or pseudo sketch show or something, where they would go into Chalk World. When I saw this in my research, I had like Nom flashbacks. Like I completely forgot about Chalk Zone, but when I read this, so many things came flooding back to me. Like it was weird. Like it was a jarring experience. But that's Dave Willis. I don't know who he was in Chalk Zone, but I don't know. You think we could find episodes of Chalk Zone anymore?
Yeah, it's around. People like that still.
Is there a channel that does like old Nickelodeon stuff like they do for like Boomerang's the old Cartoon Network stuff and Hanna-Barbera, right?
Well, Boomerang doesn't even air old stuff anymore.
Oh, I didn't know.
The last really old thing, I still have cable. The last.
I don't know. Are you sure you want to say that on the air?
I know, right? I should be embarrassed. It's kind of like I think there's something really worse than saying you're not a cable cutter now. No, like the last thing they used to air, like I remember, like they do air Looney Tunes sometimes. They do like pretty much all like the only old stuff they air is Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry. They used to air like the original Scooby Doo. I think like from like 4 to 6 a.m. But other than that, like they don't air anything all day. All it is just basically it's just like it's a dumping ground for Cartoon Network. Like it's Teen Titans Go. I don't know what else. I don't know what else is popular on there now. Like I know like they don't air. Like they don't even air some of their stuff. Like oh my god, like not Adventure Time. What's the other one? Like one with the
regular show.
Regular show. Like they don't even air that anymore. It's just like it's whoever's popular. It's just a dumping ground for Cartoon Network. So it's whoever's popular on there. It's just like a duplicate, except for everyone. I think like 8 to like 10 they'll do like Looney Tunes, and like maybe 10 to 11 they'll do Tom and Jerry, and then that's it.
Oh god,
it's really sad.
Oh man, we need those. I want that old stuff back. You know, I want an old Nickelodeon show where I can watch Chalk Zone and Kablam. You remember Kablam?
Yes, Kablam was insane.
I would watch the shit out of Kablam these days. God damn it. What the fuck, Zach? Why don't we have these good things anymore? I'm getting nostalgic. Okay, I got one more voice actor that Zach probably didn't notice. But Sherman, the giraffe that wants to eat all the time, that's Danger Doom, the musician. You know who Danger Doom is?
No.
Okay, Zach just got tasked with listening to...
oh, dear.
Oh, I misspoke. He's from Danger Doom. Danger Doom is where I know him. His artist name is actually MF Doom. You should look into him. Danger Doom is what he did with Brian Burton, Danger Mouse. So get it? Danger Mouse and MF Doom. Danger Doom.
Right,
Zach is getting on it. That's it, Zach. That was pretty painless. That was pretty painless. That's it. This is everything else is Adult Swim references. We don't need to go through that. Octane Hunger Force deserves it. We'll get some good clips in there. But that's it. That's all we got. Dave Willis is a masterpiece. He's like the most successful out of all these guys in terms of voice acting. That's it. Was that painless?
That's it. Well, yeah, compared to the what was it? The Star Wars Clone Wars one where actually just the audio just gave out. We had to do a hard cut.
We missed out so many good ones. I could get my notes. We missed like the people who did the Law and Order video game voice acting. We missed the people who did like Even More Adventure Time. Should I get those notes? Should Zach? Should we go
please
back?
Don't.
Okay.
Please don't.
Well, how about instead we now actually talk about Perfect Hair Forever?
That's not what we've been doing.
The substance of it, the story behind it, the gold that is Perfect Hair Forever. What do you think about that? Because I have some things I have to say. Okay, I'm going to start off by saying something that needs to be said. I think it is a truth. It is a universal truth, but people don't say it enough. People don't know about it, actually. Action Hot Dog is one of the greatest characters of all time. Do you know who Action Hot Dog is the hot dog that is Gerald's companion throughout Perfect Hair Forever. So I guess I should frame this. The whole series starts with Gerald Bald Z, that's his name. He's like a young guy, actually voiced by a woman, who is balding. Like his hair's going thin. And he goes to Uncle Grandfather and he says, I want perfect hair forever. And he goes on this quest to get perfect hair forever. And his first companion is Action Hot Dog, introduced to him by Uncle Grandfather. Action Hot Dog only says one thing. Okay, we both have to do this, Zach. I'm going to give my best Yes, Zach, you have to. Zach, I will quit this podcast right now.
No, absolutely not.
You're not going to do an Action Hot Dog?
No.
Why do you not want... Why are you so against doing an Action Hot Dog impersonation?
Because it's just gibberish.
It's not. It's... Ready? Here we go. I'm going to do mine. Ready? Are you ready? Do the la 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 la. Your turn.
Insert clip here.
Listen to the hot dog.
Do the la 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 la.
No, you gotta actually. We're gonna do the clip, but we gotta do your. Okay. We'll get back to. We'll come back to that one. This is great. Okay, this is why this is great, Zach. Because this is every single quest-based story in the Japanese culture. You have your main hero destined for greatness, and you get the useless sidekick. And they just kind of epitomize that with the hot dog only saying one thing ever. I mean, it breaks it up. Sometimes he'll just be like, doo-doo, or he'll be like, la-la, or la. They'll shorten the whole phrase. But most of the time, we're getting the full-on Action Hot Dog call. And I love that aspect. They're like, it. Like, this is it. This is our useless first sidekick. That's awesome. That's a great parody to me. Make it a hot dog. Make it... You notice Gerald has a little hot dog symbol on his shirt? Like, his shirt has a little hot dog
I picked up on that.
Yeah, and he's fighting Quathio, the evil controller of cats. So the guy with the hot dog is fighting the guy with the cats. And Zach, what starts? What does Brenda start when she whispers in Gerald's severed ear? Can you tell me what she starts?
I don't remember.
What do you mean? It's the Cat Bun Wars.
Brenda, what have you done? You have started the Cat Bun Wars. No!
She starts the war between the cats and the hot dog buns. And that's what our whole story is about. It's about the guy with the hot dog going against the guy with the cats. One has bald head, one has perfect hair, and the other one... Oh my God, Zach, how is this nonsense? How is this nonsense to you?
No comment.
No.
No comment.
Okay, so Zach is, I would say 45% convinced that Action Hot Dog is one of the greatest characters ever.
Do the la 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 la.
I wish we had more Action Hot Dog, to be honest. I don't think we have enough in this series. I would also say that we need it in kind of just every media ever, that we need this hot dog just popping up, like making a few cameos or something like that.
No comment. Where's that spray bottle?
Zach used it all up before, so now I'm on free reign. Okay, so this story, this is another story that has to be told. A very common, deep, philosophical, thought-provoking question that I will ask people, which I don't think I've ever asked Zach, but I'm about to right now. Zach, let's say you and I are together, like physically next to each other. We're getting ready to go out somewhere. Like we're in a house and we're getting ready to go out in a car to go see a movie. And for the sake of argument, let's say I'm ready before you are. Would you rather me ask you if you are Freddy or Peppered? That's the question. Would you prefer? Now, this is the thing. I'm going to call you one of them. I'm not going to ask you a normal question like a human being asks you a question. I'm going to ask you one of these two things. Which would you prefer?
If you call me Freddy or Pepper?
Well, no. To ask you. So I'm gonna be ready before you, and instead of asking you just directly, are you ready? I'm going to ask you, are you Freddy or are you Peppered? Those are the two options. Which do you prefer?
Peppered.
Good. That is the right answer, Zach. So here we go. Freddy is a no-brainer, right? You've heard that before. You ready, Freddy? I think that's like a common phrase. And so, if someone wants to say, are you ready? They say, you ready, Freddy? Or they say, you Freddy? That's where that comes from. But that's stupid. That's easy, okay?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Zach is loving his life right now. So I can't get on board with that. So I prefer...
I bet you can't.
Peppered. I prefer peppered. So here we go. Peppered, of course, is a play on prepared. So the joke, or not the joke, it's not a joke. It's me saying something crazy. It comes from, are you prepared? And the next step was inspired by Perfect Hair Forever. In the first episode of Perfect Hair Forever, the pilot episode, we have a scene where Quaffio, we're in his house or something, and he's like, prepare, and he's jumping all around the screen like an anime, like they're doing all the jump cuts and stuff, and there's flashing lights, and he keeps saying the word prepare or shortened versions of the word prepare, and at a certain point, he starts saying it so fast that it gets to like that prepare, like almost like preppered. And so this made me think, prepared, you could say preppered, but then just go to peppered. And you can ask people if they're peppered when they're ready for something. The joke in Perfect Hair Forever is awesome. We have to put the clip in because he says prepare a bunch of times, and then he cuts himself off and says, get ready.
Mother back. Prepare. Get ready.
And it's hilarious, but that's where it comes from. And Zach, here's the big tie-in to you, because many times I have said to Zach, directly or I've texted him, Market District peppered turkey breast. And he's been like, what the f*** do you mean? This is what it has become. When I ask people if they're ready, I no longer ask them if they're peppered. This has evolved to Market District peppered turkey breast, which was a deli meat that I sold when I worked at a deli back in the day. That is... Look at it! Look how much Perfect Hair Forever has given us, Zach. We had the whole story with the computer at the beginning. Now you understand why I'm screaming Market District peppered turkey breast at you all the time. How do you not love this?
You know what? The guy at the weird porno at least had a fun payoff.
You don't think... Zach is... Except for Zach, everybody out there now wants to go and tell their friends that they're Market District peppered turkey breast. I think I just got that to catch on. It's going to go viral. Can we tweet that? Who do we tweet that to? Can we tweet that?
I think you should sit down with Kanye.
Can I tweet that to Kanye from our account? Will you allow that?
I think we should.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it like 20 times.
I think he'll appreciate that.
Quick succession. Okay, but that is another thing Perfect Hair Forever has given us. That's great, Zach. It's also one of the funniest parts of the pilot. Directly before that in the pilot, we have the wonderful line from Model Robot where he's like, I think we're dealing with a very, very, very stupid person or a very, 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 very smart person.
That was pretty funny, though.
Model Robot, what do you think?
I think we're dealing with a very, very, very smart person or a very, very, very stupid person.
And so we are very, very, very much in danger or very, very, very much safe.
Oh, it's all funny. See, it's all funny, Zach. Okay, so I guess let me ask you some questions then. Because I could sit here and I could run down all these amazing lines and we could put them all in, but at the end of the day, this episode would just be the audio of Perfect Hair Forever if I had a say in it. Because it's all that funny. But of course, Zach is not going to allow that.
No.
So I want to ask Zach something, because he has some knowledge of it. What do you think in here, if anything, is a parody of Yu-Gi-Oh? Did you ever pick any of that up? Did you think anything in here is a parody of Yu-Gi-Oh? The show, of course.
Not Yu-Gi-Oh, the main show. The one thing I used to watch, again, Rob probably remembers this, was there was a parody of Yu-Gi-Oh called like the Abridged series.
Yeah, okay.
The censor for swearing, all the characters would use.
Okay, what was it? I don't think I remember what it was.
You know what it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, that screech. Gotcha.
They all use that. And when I first heard it, I'm like, wait, is this... Because I didn't know how old this was. And I'm like, wait, are they ripping off Little Karibo? and obviously, once I saw the date of this, I'm like, oh, this was right around the same time as like when Little Karibo was doing his thing. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't pick up on anything specifically Yu-Gi-Oh, but that was the one element that made me do think of that show.
Okay. So I definitely got the Yu-Gi-Oh sense. I think in the second episode, Uncle Grandfather gives the king of all animals the hot dog, the hamburger necklace. And that made me think of the Millennium Puzzle that Yugi got. When Yugi gets the Millennium Puzzle, that's what I thought of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then we get the immediate follow-up where he's like, "What is this? Is it magic?" And Uncle Grandfather's like, "What do you mean? How do I use this?" He's like, "It's a hamburger, so we're snacking."
Is it a magical being?
Does what have what?
How can I use this?
It's a hamburger. So,
snacking.
Oh, yes, that's some great stuff. Okay, good. That's when I picked up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, also, the hair of the King of All Animals made me think of Yu-Gi-Oh! But just because I was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, I'm sure it could make you think of any anime you've ever been interested in. Because, anime hair is always that spiky, generic-looking thing. Oh, great. Okay. So my next question for you, Zach, I want to know if you picked up on something. There's a few scenes that are in outer space. Quafio has a ship that's like in outer space, and he just has like a pool and a bar, like with no cover on it, and they just hang out there. Whenever we get a shot of outer space, it'll show like the ship moving, and a few times, I think 4 or 5 times throughout the whole series, in the background, there'll be a moon, and there'll be like a smaller red moon or planet in front of it. And as the camera moves, they'll line up so that the 2 moons look like a clown face, and you'll hear a honk. Did you pick up on this?
I don't think so. I think I heard a honk, but
this has nothing to do with the series. I think. Well, that's the other thing. I think. But every time you get a shot of outer space, you get this moon, and the camera. You get like an establishing shot for enough time for these things to line up to look like a clown's face, and then you hear a honk. Now, the reason I question that it's unrelated to the main story is because our main character does walk past a field of crucified clowns in one episode. So, look at that. And in the 6th episode, when Action Hot Dog is playing the grand piano during the first musical number, the candelabra is made out of crucified clowns. Did we just break ground, Zach? Have I convinced you? Deep analysis. Here we go. What are you thinking right now, Zach? What are you thinking?
Oh, my Lord. This show's insane. Like I said, I'm not arguing whether there was actual thought put into it. But it's just this mishmash of... It's this blender of insanity and nonsense. Like obviously, they put thought into it, though, but it's just absurdity. It's absurdity just strung together.
Yes, it is absurd, but I get more meaning and out of it, I think, than Zach does. It's great. So how about this, Zach?
With that.
Did you have like one? Since clearly you've explained to me you were not laughing constantly throughout this series.
No.
Was there one pinnacle moment that made you laugh harder than anything? Does anything jump out? That's what I would be looking for, I guess, from your mystical, not mystical, your cynical. I'm gonna shut my brain off because it's Adult Swim nonsense over here.
Like I found something. Like I'm trying to think. There was one joke that made me laugh. I can't remember it right now.
You didn't take notes?
No, I didn't take notes. I take notes for this.
Oh, God, Zach. Okay,
I'm gonna take notes for this.
Can I take a guess? Was it the
How do you take notes for a fever dream?
I got notes. Look at my notes.
You've watched this too much.
Here are my notes. Okay, how about this? I have a guess. Okay. The funniest joke for you was when Rod the anime god tries to give Gerald LSD. And he's like, "Hey kid, put this on your tongue." And Gerald goes, "What is it?" "It's LSD." "Is it dangerous?" "Yeah."
I did laugh. Okay. That did not make me laugh.
Oh, okay. My first guess.
I liked the tree. Like every single time the tornado tried to stab the tree, it's like that made me laugh. And the tree just flips out every single time something happens.
Say, what are you fellas doing in the woodsy forest?
Don't get too close! He'll suck you up!
I really do like the tornado where he's like, I'm Terry, nice to meet you. Oh, come on, Terry. It's Twisty. That is good. Okay, so we laughed about some similar things. Okay, can I take another guess then?
Okay. There's a few things.
This wasn't a specific line. This was a scenario. Out of all the scenarios, this might be what I think is the funniest, which is why I'm going to guess it. Episode 4. Episode 4 is titled Happy Suck Day. Happy Suck Day. That's the name of the episode. And we learn in the episode that Happy Suck Day, at least as I interpret it, it is somewhat ambiguous. Happy Suck Day is the title of the porno film Uncle Grandfather is trying to shoot between a vacuum cleaner and a cake. That's what you thought was the funniest thing.
No, that was an example of this sounds like an idea that I would come up with in high school. It's like, wouldn't it be funny that if we're making this like high school project and in the background is like this porno playing, like, and it's a cake and a vacuum cleaner trying to have sex with each other. That sounds like something I would think would be fun, really funny in high school. I'm like, how do we work this in without anybody noticing it?
So yes, I think the idea is a little high schoolish or juvenile, but I love that
sophomore.
We get it. Yes. That's a deep cut right there in our vocabulary, Zach. But I think that it is made well, or it's done well, because it's from the perspective of Uncle Grandfather as like the director. Like the first time we see it, he says something like, cake. Like he's talking to them. He's like, cake, you are the maid. And it's like, you are the unsuspecting guest or something. And this leads to sex. And then he starts pushing them together.
Okay, now, Cake, you pretend you're chambermaid and vacuum cleaner, you're presently surprised. This leads to sex. Okay, quiet on the set, quiet. Speed. Happy Suck Day to me, take...
Like, it is, like, just from that perspective is ridiculous. Like, they're not actually having sex. It's him trying to film this is what I think is hilarious about it. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, when the guards come and get him, he asks very, very greatly, he says to the guards, can you get this vacuum, this cake? And we never know, because Brenda starts the cat bun wars. Oh, where this show could have gone, Zach.
Yes, where could it have gone from there?
Okay, so I have 2 strikes. On your funniest moment.
Yes.
Oh, God. How many attempts do I get? 80?
To be fair, I don't remember what exactly I laughed at, so you have, just keep spitballing.
Okay, episode 6, during the variety show, Gerald is holding model robot's head, and he says to Japanese bear dad, look, I invented the internet, but it's made out of wood.
Dad, I'm home from school. Guess what? I've just invented the internet, but it's made of wood.
That's what you thought. That's hilarious. Out of nowhere, he's like, look, I invented the internet, but it's made out of wood.
yeah, I might have laughed at that, because that was...
Okay, I'm getting closer. You're getting
warmer.
Oh, I got a good one, Zach. As I mentioned before, before my actual guess, my guess is a subset of what I'm about to say. I think one of the funniest aspects of this series as a whole is Quaffio's inability to remember Astronautic Cat's name. Did you pick up on this?
Oh, yeah.
Astronomic. Now, very, very nicely of me, Zach. I have gone through and I have picked out all of the instances where Quaffio talks to Astronomic Cat, where he gets his name right or he picks it up. And we're going to play it right here. Here we go.
Okay, listen up, Astronomic Cat. Oh, yeah, what up, Aeronama? Space Cat. Good Aeronama, but Space Cat. But first, Astronomic Cat must perform background check. Astronomic Kate. Okay, listen up, aeronaut.
And now, here's my next guess. Here's my next answer, because it is one of the funniest things. For some reason, we dive into a subplot where Rob, the anime god, wants to buy Quafio's house, and he is trying to initiate this sale while he's on Quafio's spaceship, and Quafio is like, this sounds good, but first, Astronomic Cat needs to run a background check. And the cat actually flies over to a computer and starts typing, and you can see the screen on the laptop, and it is literally the letter R over and over and over. And then Quafio starts talking about, oh, it took you 7 years to pay off a car or something like that. And then Rod, the anime god, has the line, are we just going to sit here and watch your cat type the letter R 25 times? That's what you laughed at.
Maybe if I go back and rewatch
I might have went too deep into that one. I might have backtracked on that one.
That's like I said. There are some moments in this. I'll leave it at that. It has its moments.
Oh, the negotiation, the ceasefire negotiation of the Cat Bun War. Uncle Grandfather is negotiating the ceasefire, and the way he does it is literally by saying, "Well, I got somewhere to be, so sign it. Come on, sign it." And it goes on. It goes on for a while. That was good. That's my favorite way to negotiate ceasefires.
Come on. Sign it. Sign it. Sign it. Come on. Seriously. Sign it. Sign it. Sign it.
So, Rob, what do we eat during this?
What? You know how many more quotes I have from this show to talk about, Zack? Okay, no, yes. What do we eat?
There's two very obvious answers to this.
Oh, and I think I know what one of them is, and I'm going to say right off the bat that we can't eat one of them. We cannot eat hot dogs during this. Hot dogs are out of the... No, hot dogs are the good guys. Hot dogs are the main characters. Our main character is the hot dog guy. He's like the hot dog's the good side in the Cat Bun Wars. We get Action Hot Dog as our friend. He's a great character. Can't eat hot dogs. I love hot dogs. No hot dogs during this though. Is that one of the ones you were thinking of?
Well, that's one. Yes, that's one of two, or a portion of one of two.
Was the other one cat? Were you gonna say we could eat cat?
Of course.
That I'd be okay with. They're the enemy in this one.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna say the other one is hamburgers.
Yes, so hamburgers is what I would say as my low-hanging food answer. I guess we should just start calling it, because hamburgers they don't take on a role in this, right? You know, they're literally just hamburgers. Hot dogs are characters and they exist. The buns are sentient and they're fighting a war, but the hamburgers are just hamburgers.
All right, Rob's going to disagree with you on this. But this is my idea for a food item. Because I didn't pick up on the whole thing of the hot dogs being sentient, just the buns. So my idea was, instead of having a hot dog in a bun, you have a hot dog, but you wrap it with a croissant. Like the croissant crust. Because buns are sentient. You can't eat buns. But you can have the hot dog in a crescent roll. That
would be fucking delicious. I would advocate eating that not during this, though. Because even though the buns might be the main factors of the hot dogs, the main like brains in the systems, Action Hot Dog has the hot dog in him, and Action Hot Dog is like the hero of the whole thing.
Yeah, but he's stupid, so we eat him.
Dude,
Yeah, you know what? The faster you get him, eat him, make him go away, the better.
No. I think hamburgers are a good thing to eat during this. But I think specifically they have to be hamburgers that you get down from somewhere up high, because even higher possibly, as Uncle Grandfather tells us in the first episode, he says to Gerald, "Now do you understand?" And Gerald says, "No, I don't." And he says, "You see, Gerald, son, hamburgers must be high," and that is deep.
Now do you understand?
No, I don't.
You see, Gerald, son. Hamburgers should be high.
That's not nonsense. That's a life lesson. Hamburgers must be high. Remember that, Zach. Remember that.
So, Rob, would you consider this a Cinemoddity? I'm just gonna keep steamrolling through this if I have to.
Let's see what the judges say. Judges, react. Come on, judges, react. Yes, of course. Of course, this is a Cinemoddity. This was literally bestowed onto me as a Cinemoddity. I think it was a Cinemoddity before I even my brain ever entertained the concept of a Cinemoddity, ever thought of the word. This is something that I have to call a Cinemoddity because it's like passing the torch. Like, I hope one day, like, someone finds one of my computers or they find my hard drive and this is on there and it impacts their life as much as it has impacted mine. That's what I can only hope for. So, yes.
I'm going to give it a Cinemoddity too. It's weird crap.
Woo!
I would never show it to anybody.
What?
But it's on the list. Like if I had my 400 choices of 399 burned down, you know what? It would do its job. It wouldn't be my favorite, but it gets the job done. Sometimes that's all you need in life.
This might be the first Cinemoddity on my list. This might be the first late night movie. This is like a go-to. This is like a go-to. This is like, I just met you. Let's watch Perfect Hair Forever. That's what I'm saying.
This is a record. I think the genesis of this entire concept, not just for the podcast, but as a whole, stems back to, I think there was a documentary or a small behind the scenes thing for Eraserhead, and David Lynch was saying, imagine while I'm saying this, I have my right hand up in the air and I'm slightly twitching my fingers.
And it's not a static shot of a phone. It's you with the hand. That's what we're doing this time.
No, it's me with the hand. No, yeah,
okay, good.
I'm sitting here. I'm talking to the camera, and my right hand is up. And I'm just kind of like wiggling my fingers. Well, I know people tell me when they see Eraserhead that because it's one of the movies they first show people with a new boyfriend or girlfriend to see whether the relationship will last. And I think Rob took that concept and says, you know what, Mr. Lynch? I'm going to take that concept. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to run all the way to the goalpost. I'm going to run into the stands. I'm going to run through the stadium. I'm going to hop over the fence outside the stadium. I'm going to go chase through the parking lot. I'm going to race through the city. I'm going to run through the open pastures. And I'm just never, like, much like Forrest Gump, he's just going to keep on running.
Keep on going. Yep.
Rob took this very, very spur-of-the-moment comment and said, I'm going to base an entire facet of my life around it. Arguably more...
Zach is not wrong.
Arguably more impactful on Rob than the actual Eraserhead film itself.
Well, I don't know. That might be immeasurable. How do you measure how Eraserhead has changed me? I mean, the amount of times that... the Lady in the Radiator song pops into my head out of nowhere. Like, how do you measure that, right? The impact that has.
In heaven, everything is fine. In heaven.
I wake up and have that song stuck in my head sometimes.
I think they measure that in how many straitjackets they put on you at the mental home.
Well, I think they should measure it in how long I've kept all of those off. And I got a pretty good track record. Okay. Do you have any other foods, Snackmaster? I don't want to cut off our food discussion.
Yes.
I think we already...
Yes. Yes, I am the Snackmaster, the connoisseur of context.
I did not invite this. Not the Lego Maniac. I refute the Lego Maniac until I get an explanation. I don't think I'm
trying to think, what other food could you use? I'm trying to think. I was going to say maybe, considering that I don't know any of the characters from this. The Uncle Grandpa with the glowy hair lives on like a giant spaceship that looks like a cruise ship. Maybe you could have a cake that's in the shape of his ugly spaceship. That's sagging.
Would you consider his space cruise ship a birthday cake or a wedding cake?
I think so.
I don't know.
It's got a pull like a cruise ship.
It does. Okay, that's an interesting question. Other foods that I would eat during this? Well, we do have some The giraffe, Sherman the giraffe, voiced by MF Doom.
A baby.
He's always hungry. Oh, the drunk baby. How did we not talk about that? There's a drunk baby as a character in this that drives into a hole after buying a 12-pack from Catman.
I think you have to eat the baby.
Eat the baby. That's good. Sherman.
No. We're giving that away. That's for the Snowpiercer episode.
Oh, we're doing it. We're doing a Snowpiercer episode.
Well, if we are, that's the low hanging fruit.
See,
for that
that should be called Captain America Snowpiercer. Like, I really want that to be a late in the game, like Logan style timing Marvel movie. Like, I want that to be Captain America so bad in Snowpiercer.
That's alternate dimension Captain America.
I know. I want it to be like after Infinity War, after the next 60 movies they have planned. I want it to be same timeline. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay. So Sherman talks about swordfish at one point. He says, swordfish is good. Lightly seasoned swordfish. And that is good. Lightly seasoned. Oh, I mean, I don't know what lightly seasoned means. Like, I've never cooked with anybody who has not told me to use less pepper. So what the f does lightly seasoned mean? Because my amount of pepper is way more than everybody else's amount of pepper. At least I found in my experience. So I don't know. Swordfish. Swordfish as the chef intended. What about that? That's a good one.
Sure.
Okay, sure. Well, Zach, I have a few other things I wanted to mention that I don't think we talked about. They're very quick. The first is one of the best things, my most appreciative things about this. The music is different every episode. The opening and closing themes. I'm sure you picked up on this.
Yes.
Yes. They get different bands to do opening and closing themes. MF Doom, of course, is in there as he voices characters on the show. Diplo or Diplo. I've never really heard it pronounced. I think they do the first episode. Melt Banana is one of the bands that does some of the outros. They're good. Widespread Panic does one of the outros. They're great. I've actually seen them in concert before. We do get someone singing. I think it's Matt Maialaro singing at the end of the first episode when all you see is a wacky inflatable arm guy in the background, and he's like singing about, it's like, I sing this at 2:30, time for dentist, but the lights went out, it might be 2:40. Like, it's crazy, and it's great. I appreciate that immensely. That's part of the reason I don't think this is a TV show. There's no fixed intro, outro. They change it every single time. Lastly, Zach, or maybe not lastly, second to lastly, I did have a favorite line out of all of this. This took me some time to decide, but I have found one line that I think is my absolute favorite. And, surprisingly enough, it comes from the most recent episode, the 2014 one. When I was watching this episode for the first time the other day, I heard this line, I laughed like crazy. It's resonated with me. I'm always going to remember it. Are you ready? Are you ready for me to drop this on you?
I don't know how you can just narrow it down to one favorite line for the entire
I know.
thing.
I don't know how I did it either, but honestly, I feel it. I feel it in my bones. This is the favorite line. In the 8th episode, the last episode that's come out, it is revealed that the King of All Animals has Gerald's ear on the back of his head that was cut off in the first episode. And Gerald says something like, oh, he has my ear. And the King of All Animals comes back and says, say it into my favorite ear.
Say it into my favorite ear.
Oh my God. I'm going to say this to students. I'm literally going to be teaching a class. I want a student to ask me a question. I'm going to turn my head and I'm going to go, say it into my favorite ear. This is great. This probably transcends funny to me. This is sagging birthday cake material. I never would have thought of this. This phrase never would have been created by my brain. I needed to hear it, and now that I've heard it, I love it so much. That's my decision on favorite line. Say it into my favorite ear, Zach. Zach is baffled.
Absolute madman, folks.
Zach is
absolute madman.
Zach, you had to expect that this episode was going to be as crazy as the actual Perfect Hair Forever, right?
I expect that from every episode.
Yes, Zach knows who he's working with. Wait till the Wonder shows in episodes.
Oh my lord, that's a show that Rob actually wrote. We're gonna find out like 30 years from now that Rob, once time travel was discovered, Rob went back in time, wrote a MTV2 TV series under a pseudonym, then came back to the future and never told anyone ever again about it.
Say it into my favorite ear. Yes, we will have to get to that. That is when I will get to play the X-Files music while Zach talks. That'll be fun. Okay, Zach, if you don't have any questions, I have one last question for you.
Uh-oh.
It has been forever in the real world since Zach and I have actually sat down and talked about movies. Zach is probably realizing that he's upset about this because I've had so much to spew at him for the last, I don't know, how long have I had you? 6 days I've been screaming at you? Something like that. Yeah, something like that. But it's been so long, I do not remember how we end episodes. Do you remember how we end episodes?
I think we played the Gremlins theme backwards.
I don't know. I've listened to some of our recent episodes, and I don't even think we've talked about the Gremlins.
No, I don't think we talked about the Gremlins either.
So can you really say to me that we've been ending it with the Gremlins backwards?
Well, as of May 8th, 2018, in our recent catalog, no, I don't think we've talked about.
So what do we do? Are you saying that's what we should do?
I think we should play something in reverse.
Okay, we could. Okay, we'll think of something. What about the Brenda theme? Every time Brenda shows up, there's that little flourish. What about that in reverse?
How about the reverse Cinemodities intro?
Okay. Can we make a compromise? Reverse Cinemodities intro, where we sprinkle in one reverse action hot dog.
Absolutely not.
What do you mean, absolutely not? Why don't we want it backwards? Do it a lot. I'm going to try and do it back. La 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 la. What do you think?
Nope.
Okay, just so our audience knows, before we drop out of here, Zach owes me 3 impressions. I think I did 3 impressions this episode. Zach did not reciprocate. He owes me 3. That's going in the books. Going in the books. Okay, backwards intro it is. I guess that's what we gotta do. Smash that like button. Is that what you were telling me before? We gotta promote this? Smash the fucking like button. Wait, hold on. Before we cut, I know Zach is hating me right now. How does it work? If you hit the like button 2 times, does it unlike it? Because the first click is a like, and the second click is an unlike? Because then we should be saying smash the fucking like button an odd number of times. That's important. Because if they hit it an even number of times, it's like they didn't hit it at all. Is that how it works? Do you know?
I think so. I think smash means once. I don't think smash means twice. So, is there a quantitative figure?
There's no limit on smash. You could smash something any amount of times.
Is there a quantitative figure specifically tied to smash?
No, that's why we're saying smash the fucking like button. We want people to like our podcast so much that they literally sit there and just pound on their mouse to hit the like or subscribe or, I don't know, whatever button they got to hit these days. But it's got to be an odd amount of times, right? That's what
B-roll.
Smash that fucking like button an odd amount of times. And remember, Zach owes me 3 impressions.
Never again.
Listen.